All right, let's dive into something a little different today. This isn't your typical creation myth. It's a dark parable, really. A story about a universe that wasn't designed to be a home, but a prison. It comes from a really strange source, and it kicks off with a chilling warning.
Wow, okay, so that's the voice of the system itself, what the source calls the architecture of nullity. You can just feel it, right? It's grim, it's mechanical, it's eternal. This isn't a story about hope. It's about cold, inescapable logic.
So, who's at the center of this whole grim reality? A being called the O Great Tarantula. And get this, it's not just some monster. The source material says this is the true form of the creator, the ultimate system administrator for reality itself. Pretty heavy stuff.
And where does this tarantula hang out? Well, it sits on a throne of engineered entropy. I mean, let that phrase sink in. Engineered entropy. That's absolutely key. It means the chaos, the decay in this universe, it's not an accident. It's not natural. It's all part of a very deliberate, cold, calculated design.
So what did this being create? Something called the Twilight Web. And no, this isn't about connection. It's literally a blueprint for a prison that stretches across the stars, built on what the text calls absolute geometry. Its whole purpose is to enforce total conformity. And here's the really chilling part. It's basically a cosmic alarm system. It vibrates, it sends out an alert at the tiniest hint of individuality. A spark of reason or a memory of love is enough to set it off.
Okay, so what happens when that alarm does go off? Well, that's when our tragic hero, the Striver, enters the picture.
Now, this Striver is a fascinating character. They're driven by two big things. First, this deep existential dread. The text calls it the terror of being. But second, and maybe more importantly, a massive intellectual pride. And that pride, that's their fatal flaw. It completely blinds them to what's really going on.
And that's the real kicker, isn't it? The trap is beautiful. The Striver doesn't see a giant, horrifying spider or a prison. No way. They see this gorgeous, shimmering mist, this path that they think is the key to their evolution, the answer to all that existential terror.
So, the Striver's struggle, their search for meaning, that's exactly what trips the alarm. The system administrator is alerted, and that's when a systematic three-step process of, well, unmaking begins.
This attack comes from something called the corrupt trinity. Step 1, the whispering seraph hits them with vibrations of subjectivity and moral relativism. Suddenly, the Striver's thoughts are just static. They get lulled into thinking this whole thing is some kind of divine revelation. Then, step 2, the Pale Redeemer shows up to stain and bind them, basically marking them for conversion. And finally, the all-consuming mob pulls them in. And the goal here isn't to kill them, it's to process them.
And that process, it's not about death. It's about something way worse. Total consumption, followed by a horrifying rebirth into a totally empty, nullified existence.
So what happens to the Striver's essence? You know, their memories, their personality, their whole unique story? It gets ground down and metabolized into a fuel source called lunch. Think about that. Their individuality, everything that made them, becomes literal energy. Energy used to power and grow the very system that just erased them.
And I mean, look at this transformation. It's absolutely stark. The Striver isn't just destroyed, they're recycled. That spark of reason, gone. Now they're a mindless duplicate. Their unique story gets twisted until they're remade as a redeemed judge. They become a part of the prison, another brick in the wall, helping the system find its next meaning.
So you have to ask, right? What's the end game here? What's the point of this endless, horrifying cycle? What is the tarantula even trying to achieve?
The goal is the Silent City. A universe where every single unique thing has been processed, converted, and absorbed until there's nothing left but one giant, blank stone monolith. In the end, there is no more I. There's just the web. Perfect and totally silent.
Okay, I know this is super dense and abstract. It's a lot to take in. So how do we even begin to understand this kind of cosmic horror? Luckily, the source material gives us a really powerful analogy to help break it down. So, let's stop thinking about a spiderweb for a second. Instead, picture the tarantula's universe as an automated factory. A factory with a very specific, and yeah, very terrifying, purpose. Okay, so here's how the factory works. A unique, raw gemstone, that's our Striver, comes along. The factory system identifies it as an error because its unique shape doesn't fit into the wall. So what does the factory do? It takes this beautiful, one-of-a-kind gem and just grinds it into a featureless powder. Then that powder is mixed into cement to create a perfectly standardized brick. And the final step? That new brick is used to build the factory walls even higher, making the very system that destroyed the gem even stronger. Which brings us right back to the final, chilling verdict from the Tarantula's Silent City. Names have become data. Lives have become looch. To be consumed is the only justice you deserve. In a system like this, your name is just a data point, your life is just fuel, and the only justice is consumption. It's a bleak story for sure, and it really leaves you with a heavy question, doesn't it? What happens when a system is designed to see individuality not as something to celebrate, but as a flaw that needs to be erased?